Syracuse is going bowling. On Sunday, the Orange accepted a bid to play the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl on December 29th. Both fan bases are familiar with playing each other, as SU and Minnesota have faced off 5 times since 1995, with the last matchup resulting in a Texas Bowl win for the Orange in 2013. This is a new game, though. As you look at the rundown of the season stats, 2 things really stick out: points allowed and the last 5 games. Minnesota is 4th in the country in scoring defense. They have 2 shutouts and have held opponents under 21 points in 10 of 12 games, and the 2 games they've allowed more were losses to ranked teams on the road. Syracuse is cold and Minnesota is hot. The second half of Minnesota's schedule did feature some of the Big Ten's worst teams, but in those last 5 games, the Gophers outscored their opponents by an average of 2 touchdowns per game. That's an impressive 5-game stretch no matter who you're playing. And for the Orange, it's been quite the opposite. Through the same stretch, SU has been outscored by an average of 13 points per game. Syracuse started off the season red hot, but dropped 5 straight before getting a much-needed victory at Boston College to close out the year. The rushing game has been big for both teams this year. Syracuse's Sean Tucker has been up and down throughout the year, but he's a very important part of the offense. They haven't been utilizing Tucker in the passing game recently, which is a place where he really excelled earlier in the season. Bottom line is, when 34 gets going, the wins usually come along with it. 24 on the other side is a big-time player as well. Minnesota's Muhammad Ibrahim, the 6th-year senior, has been a workhorse all year. They give him the ball an average of 28 times per game, and in his last 6 games, that number rose to 34. Ibrahim led the Big Ten and was 2nd in the country in rushing touchdowns. And let's take a look at the offensive line. They're going to give the ball to Ibrahim on this play. They're letting no Iowa defenders into the backfield. It's a very good Iowa defense. Play the clip. Look how all those Minnesota blockers are pushing Iowa to the middle of your screen, and then he's off. And look at big number 65, running along with his back. Minnesota is top 20 in sacks allowed in the FBS. Syracuse is bottom 12. PJ Fleck's Golden Gophers are the 3rd least penalized team in the FBS. Syracuse is dead last, 131st. Look for penalties to play a big role in this game, especially if it comes down to the wire. The passing game isn't going to win the game for the Gophers, but it can lose it for them. Make smart passes, protect the football. They need to win in the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. The defense needs to get in the backfield and rack up some tackles for loss, because you can't let Tucker get loose. On the other sideline, if Syracuse wants to win this game, they need to protect the quarterback. The offensive line has let way too many defenders in the backfield this year. It doesn't give Garrett Schrader enough time to go through his reads, and it puts too much pressure on Sean Tucker to try and fake out a defender before he even gets the ball. They also need to create havoc on defense. Sacks, fumbles, interceptions, tip passes. You need everything you had in your first 6.5 games to come back. Look for Michael Jones and Jihad Carter to have big games if the Orange come out on top. Dating back to 2015, Minnesota has been 5-0 in bowl games. A win for Dino Babers and the Orange would be big for the program. There's a big difference between 8-5 and 7-6, especially on the recruiting trail. Win or lose, Syracuse gets an extra month of practice going into the next season, something they haven't had the luxury of having in 4 years. Cam, Carl, back to you guys.